So the issue is, you know, I've got 2 kids, and both of my kids are indistinguishable from their peers now. And that's not because we had a magic bullet. It's because I worked my butt off for 6 years and researched my head off trying to figure out what to do for them. And I'm Asperger's. And I think that I probably have a little bit of a different insight into this because I think the same way they do. And I look at things a lot differently in the way that I work with these kids. I don't think is 100% on track with what a lot of other people do, but I also know that a lot of what I do works. And I'm in the business of whatever it takes. And that means if we're doing A, B, and C for a family or for a child and it's not working, then you know what? It's time to move to DEF. And if DEF doesn't work, then we're going to go to GHI. And you have to keep working until you find the combination of things that works for your child. And the family plays such an integral part in this, because if we're treating the child, but we don't educate the families have to be the experts on their children. Because a lot of times you'll go to a speech therapist and they'll be phenomenal, great speech therapist, but they may not know autism. And if they spend 50 minutes out of their hour trying to get the kid to sit down and attend at a table, how much speech therapy is getting done? Not a lot. And it's teaching parents how to work with their own children and teaching parents how to teach others to work with their children, school systems, teachers' aides, therapists, whoever, and providing a setting where there is continuity across all environments. Because you can do the perfect thing for these kids all day long, and if you go home and mom and dad don't have a clue, and they're not on board, and we're undoing everything that we've spent all day doing by them not having continuity. So we got to get people educated. We've got to provide the family supports to make sure that everybody is on the same page. We've got to get the schools. Part of what we want to do is as far as the vision, it's having a gluten-free, casein-free grocery store, so that we have a place that parents can go. They don't have to think about, oh, can I get this? Is it safe? You know what? If we got it, it's cool. And that takes a lot off people's minds, because the amount of time that I spend working with parents trying to coach them on what they can and can't do, if we had one place to go where there it is, and you buy what you think you can use and what you think they'll eat, and you don't have to think about, do I need to read all the labels? So having a gluten-free, casein-free store, having a compounding pharmacy on site that's providing stuff at cost, that does not have an 8,000% markup. Part of what is so incredibly difficult for these families is the finances that are involved for you to do what's appropriate for your child are overwhelming. The number of people that I see that are mortgaging houses and borrowing money from parents and selling cars and doing whatever they have to do for their family, which, you know, if I were in that position, I would do that as well, but not even totally convinced that that's the right thing for their child. And so we've got to make things affordable for people. You know, putting a 4,000% markup on something because it says autism or therapy is incredibly wrong. Incredibly wrong. We need to be providing these things to families at cost, or maybe even slightly above, so that we can cover shipping expenses and whatever, but not having these enormous markups on these things. So providing all of the services, providing any of the products that are needed and necessary for these guys. The pharmacy is a huge component in this, because it provides so many of the compounded medications and supplements that they need at a reasonable price. And you know, the number of people, even though we don't charge for what we do, they come see our physician. There's no cost involved with that, but there is a cost when they go out the door and they have to buy X number of supplements for their kids every month. And if they're broke, what are they going to do? You know, we can give them all the greatest advice in the universe, and if they walk out the door and they don't have $200 a month to spend on supplements, what have we done? So providing things for people that can't afford them and making them available to everyone regardless of their ability to pay. Physicians, OT, PT, speech language path, play therapy, music therapy, art therapy, sports teams, recreation, handling the other end on the educational end, doing the IEP rights and advocacy, making sure that we have attorneys on staff that can handle IDEA rights and advocacy, so that when there are school systems that are not in compliance, and the parents don't have the money to hire an attorney, then we can represent them at no cost, and that's desperately needed. And I have a sneaking suspicion that if the school systems were aware that there were attorneys out there doing this pro bono, and that parents don't have to shell out $40,000 for an attorney anymore, they might be thinking twice about denying services. So it probably would be changing the way a lot of people are doing things. Also, we want to look at having, I think I said this, a full ABA school that we can provide that is one-on-one. I mean, one-on-one, not 17 to 1, one-on-one, until they're at a place that we can move them into a less restrictive situation, and as they become more functional, which we hope will be quickly if we're doing things right, then we can move them into a less restrictive area and eventually, hopefully, mainstream them by the time they're in kindergarten if we can catch them early enough. And also having a full biomedical and research laboratory so that we can not only do all of the medical testing in-house, but we need to be doing clinical trials and research. And, you know, I'm sorry, and this is probably not the politically correct thing to say, but I'm not the politically correct gal. And the amount of arguing and bickering over what's being tested and who's doing what and is this right and is this wrong, you know what? It needs to get done. It needs to get done. We need to get out there and get it done. And it needs to get funded, and it needs to happen, because we got kids that, while all this bickering is going on, are falling through the cracks. And yeah, there's not a lot of research on a lot of things, and it does need to be done. But you know, in the meantime, we got a lot of kids that can't wait for that research, that have to be helped right now.